Canto 7, Chapter 7, Text 33. 7:7:33. You can look it up in your phone. You have your phone? Yeah, 7:7:33. Betabase.com. Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tadojayam udhirayat Evam nirjita shadvargai Kriyate bhaktir ishvare Vasudeve Bhagavati Yaya samlabhyate ratihi Nirjita sadvargai Kriyate bhaktir ishvare Vasudeve Bhagavati Yaya samlabhyate ratihi By these activities, as mentioned above, one is able to cut down the influence of the enemies, namely lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy, and when thus situated, one can render service to the Lord. In this way, one surely attains the platform of loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sounds exciting, huh? Mm-hmm. Only this and that, the other thing. Purport. As mentioned in verses 30 and 31, we're going to go back and read those verses. One's first duty is to approach the spiritual master, the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to begin rendering service to him. Prahlad Maharaj proposed that from the very beginning of life, Kamara Acharat Pragya, a small child should be trained to serve the spiritual master while living at the Gurukula. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasan Danto Guror Hitam 7:12:1. This is the beginning of spiritual life. Guru Padashaya Sadhuvartmanavartanam Shad Dharma Prachcha. Those are referenced in 30:31. We'll go back. By following the instructions of the Guru and the Shastras, the disciple attains the stage of devotional service and becomes unattached to possessions. Whatever he possesses, he offers to the spiritual master, the Guru, who engages him in Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnuho. The disciple follows strictly and, in this way, learns how to control his senses. Then, by using his pure intelligence, he gradually becomes a lover of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami, Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha, etc. In this way, one's life becomes perfect. That was pretty quick, huh? Shoo. And his attachment for Krishna becomes positively manifested. In that stage, he is situated in ecstasy, experiencing bhava and anubhava, as explained in the following verse. So we're going to go back to text 30:31, and this is all part of the same, like a sequence, and this is what Prahlad learned within the womb. I'll read 29 and then 30. Of the different processes recommended for disentanglement from material life, the one personally explained and accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be considered all perfect. That process is the performance of duties by which love for the Supreme Lord develops. Standard teaching that Prabhupada explained hundreds of times. Then this important 30-31 verse. One must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master, and in the association of saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord, hear the glories of the Lord with faith, glorify the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord, and always meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, and worship the deity of the Lord strictly according to the injunctions of Shastra and Guru. So long purport reference in 33 was made to what's in the purport. And we'll go straight to the second paragraph. To practice Bhakti Yoga, one must first accept the bona fide spiritual master, Srila Rupa Goswami, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1, 74, 75 advises. This is the references to these phrases. Guru Parashrayas Tasmat, Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam, Visrambena Guru Seva, Sadhu Vartmanu Vartanam, Shad Dharma Prichcha Boga Di, Tyaga Krishnasya Hetave. This is not a straightforward translation, it's summary. One's first duty is to accept a bona fide spiritual master. The student or disciple should be very inquisitive. He should be eager to know the complete truth about eternal religion, Sanatana Dharma. The word guru, sushushaya, means that one should personally serve the spiritual master by giving him bodily comforts, helping him in bathing, dressing, sleeping, eating, and so on. This is called Guru Shrushanam. A disciple should serve the spiritual master as a menial servant, and whatever he has in his possession, he should be dedicated to the spiritual master. Pranayar Artayar Diya Vacha. Everyone has life, wealth, intelligence, and words. And all of them should be offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the via medium of the spiritual master. Everything should be offered to the spiritual master as a matter of duty, but the offering should be made to the spiritual master with heart and soul, not artificially to gain material prestige, and so forth. So the title of this chapter 7, what Prahlad learned in the womb, and this goes back to the earlier chapter, chapter 6, where Prahlad is giving teachings to his classmates. And after hearing these incredible teachings, they ask, "Where'd you learn this?" "I learned it from Narada." He said, how'd you get Narada's association? We're little boys and we're always in the school of Chanda and Amarka and we don't have any chance to go hear Narada Muni. So how did it happen for you? Where'd you learn? So the from whom is understood, and how he got access to Narada is then explained. That's this chapter. In the womb, when Hiranyakashipu was gone, Kayaga was in the ashram of Narada, and Narada instructed her for the duration of Hiranyakashipu's austerities, which was a long time. And I was in her womb, and I heard, and my mother forgot, but I haven't forgotten. So this is what he learned. And what he learned included, this same as Rupa Goswami's teachings. Either way that you want to say it, it's fine. Rupa Goswami has drawn his teachings from the Bhagavatam. And so he says in his own language, summarizing what's in the Bhagavatam. The stages of bhakti. Or one could say, he's repeating what he heard from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya are the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. There are different ways to say the same thing. But the awakening of our forgotten relationship with Krishna is the topic. And whether it's this authoritative approach or the other, it's okay. The principle is the same. And it's important to understand the principle. It's nice to understand from where it is derived, or from whence it is derived. But so Rupa Goswami is giving, one could say, a summary. Rupa Goswami is giving a summary of what he heard from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the science of bhakti, and then was empowered to write, so he wrote. And because he was such a gifted writer and poet, he could express in concise form vast teachings. So the Bhagavatam here, the purport, is referencing Rupa Goswami's writings on the science of bhakti, because that's what he learned within the womb. But he didn't hear Rupa Goswami, he heard Narada Muni. So the teachings are the same. So he's letting his classmates know that they're the audience, he's the speaker. You also, my dear friends of demons, you also can become fully awakened in bhakti. And here's the procedure. It starts over here, and then it goes to that, and then it goes to that. Question: how are these sons of demons going to get access to Narada Muni, or get access to a spiritual master, if not Narada Muni? They're circumstantially, they're in a difficult spot. They're in a difficult spot as sons of demons because of some past activity that brought them to become sons of demons. Prahlad is just in this unique position. From chapter 10, Prahlad declares that he was sent from Vaikuntha by the personality of Godhead to teach the way of pure bhakti. So he had his eligibility before he took his birth. Or there's another explanation found in another section of this story of Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu, etc. And that is from just commentary from purports from the Sringa Purana. there's a description by Lord, where Prahlad asks Lord Nrsimhadev, how did I become so devoted to you? What's the history? What's the backstory? And it's not the same as what he says in chapter 10. It's previously, in a previous lifetime, I was a brahmana who became addicted to association with a prostitute. And just so happens that on Nrsimha Chaturdasi, the prostitute and I got in a quarrel. And because it was a very heavy quarrel, we both were very upset. We both fasted throughout the day and night, and we observed Nrsimha Chaturdasi fast. Not intentionally, but that's that. So Lord Nrsimhadev said, because of that, you took your birth as Prahlad, she took her birth as an Apsara, and she went to the spiritual world after her life in the heavenly realm, and here you are. That's how you became devoted to me. That benefit that came to you, that benefit has come to you by even unknowingly and unintentionally observing Nrsimha Chaturdasi. So Nrsimhadev's appearance day is coming up. Get ready. There's a great spiritual potency in special events like that. That's not the only one, that's one that's like that. Even unknowingly. Even from a, abominable condition, addiction to association with a prostitute. So there are opportunities, known or unknown, where those who have the good fortune of coming in contact with Narada Muni or persons who have spiritual strength, as followers of Narada Muni, there's great benefit. And this is, part of the whole story or narration about the power of bhakti. So the reflection of bhakti, mixed bhakti, what to speak of Shuddha bhakti, and striving towards Shuddha bhakti. It's very powerful. So supposing someone says, yeah, but I'm this and that, low self-esteem kind of stuff. I'm no good, I always I'm not eligible. That's not correct. There's no one not eligible. When the sun shines, the sun shines. So, bhakti is very powerful. The whole of the Srimad Bhagavatam is presenting the personality of Godhead and its glories and all these things that are listed here of what one can do to elevate one's condition. But there's a starting point, or all of that good fortune that is being recommended for one to do, because that's coming in the next 2 verses in this chapter, come from the same place it came from for Narada. From Prahlad. That's from Narada. I'm going to read the next 2 verses and then we'll end. 32. One should always remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead in its localized representation as the Paramatma, who is situated at the core of every living entity's heart. Thus, one should offer respect to every living entity according to the living entity's position or manifestation, meaning respect to living entities doesn't go, it is due to the fact, or is connected to the fact the Supreme Lord is within their heart. This is Canto 7. This is the same thing that's said in other cantos without detailing. Same message, same message. The angle is a little different, that's okay. The same message. Worship of the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, respecting that Bhagavan has an expansion, Paramatma expansion, that's not different than that from which the expansion comes. So Krishna is in the heart, or Paramatma is in the heart. In a particular feature, the Paramatma feature. And therefore, living entities should be respected. That is, I'm a worshipper of Bhagavan, and living entities should be respected. Not separate. Don't separate the two. And this is an important teaching that we spend a lot of time discussing. Kapila Dev spends a lot of time discussing. Warning is there, don't because Paramatma is within the heart, we shouldn't mistake the Jiva as Paramatma, the Jiva is Narayana, and then have different names, Daridra Narayana, as one infamous impersonalist coined the phrase. Worship the poor, the impoverished, feed the poor, and you're feeding Narayana. Open soup kitchens and do philanthropy, because the living entities in the Daridra position, they're Narayana also, because there's no distinction between the Jiva and Narayana. The Jiva is Narayana, Narayana is Jiva. So worship them, if you're an impersonalist. It doesn't, to respect and to worship are different. That the Bhagavatam is indicating respect them, because, along with the fact that the Narayana or the Paramatma is within their heart. So they're to be honored, but not identified with Narayana. So that's the warning in this connection. Then this morning's verse. By these activities, as mentioned above, one is able to cut down the influence of enemies, namely lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy. So the 6 enemies, or contaminations of heart. And there's subsets of those. It's not like it's only 6 in the bell rings. It's a principle that contaminations of heart are eradicated by worship of Bhagavan and proper respect, commensurate with one's covering, kind of respect towards all living entities. On a spiritual or transcendental or God-centered reason, commensurate with their position, respect and honor. What can be challenging because some people are nasty or worse. So it doesn't change the position of respect, it just means you keep a safe, you respect them at a safe distance. And don't make them, don't hang out with them. Don't make them intimate associates. Respect from a distance. Okay. In this way, surely one attains the platform of loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is very similar, it's far more detailed, but very similar to the Brahma-Bhuta verse. Mad bhaktim labhate, and this way one attains bhakti. One attains devotional service. Mad bhaktim labhate para. So the language is different, the details are different, the principle is the same. So it's good to learn the principles from Bhagavad Gita, and it's additionally good, it's good to learn from the Bhagavatam the same principles expanded further, in practical terms, how to live one's life. One more thing. This repeated phrase of offering all of one's possessions doesn't mean impoverishment. It means it's the same as the Isabhasha principle, that everything belongs to God, Isha. Everything, there isn't something that hasn't come from Him, it comes from Him, so it's His. That doesn't mean you remain destitute or something like that. But as I accept this facility or that facility, I should understand where the facility comes from. And therefore the facility should be dedicated to he from whom the facility has come. I receive some recognition, I receive some wealth, I receive some honor or something as a result of living in the world. Where did that come from? And offer you have zero bank balance. Whatever that bank balance is, it's Krishna's bank balance, and is dedicated to Krishna's service. The medium of that service is the spiritual master. Let me align my service to Krishna through the medium of the spiritual master. It's quite simple. I mean, it's interwoven in one, in subtle ways, but not unintelligible subtle ways. My connection with Krishna is through my spiritual master. And as I'm serving my spirit, many questions have been asked in college classes. How did you become a Hare Krishna guy? The principles, it's simple. The principles that I learned in childhood, they became refined and made sense. And I just did that. I didn't change, it just became refined and elevated by the right principle. And therefore, dedication of whatever has come from Krishna to Krishna through the medium of the spiritual master. It's very simple. And the form may be this, or maybe that. It's not the color of the cloth, it's the principle. And the principle can apply to anyone in any place, in any country, any nation, any language, any color, any, socioeconomic division. Stane statak shrutikatam tadavan manovir. It doesn't require giving up something. You stay in your position and dedicate that position to the source from which the position has come, from which everything has come. And whatever your position is, that's fine. Provided it's in accord with standards of Dharma, then anyway. Supposing one's profession is a thief, stay in your position. Be a thief for Krishna. But what does being a thief for Krishna mean, if there is such a thing? It's not what it looks like in the material world. You line your pockets with stuff that you stole. That's not what yukta vairagya means. That which is favorable you accept, and that which is not favorable you reject. Okay, so a lot of teachings will go back to the summary of what Prahlad learned within the womb and from whom he learned it. And by this process, he became free from the unwanted main enemies of the conditioned soul. And then the platform of loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead became his, which he then in turn wants to give to others, like his classmates. At great risk, because when his teachers find out what he's up to, he's got a problem, or they want to give him a problem. So, when you act in these ways, expect a little pushback from the material energy. And that doesn't mean because there's a pushback from material energy, then I become intimidated. You continue going forward in the course of approaching the personality of Godhead, thoughtfully and wisely, and because after all, it's between you and the personality of Godhead anyways. It's not between you and the other pushback people. Be respectful and act appropriately. I'm going to have to excuse myself, go use the restroom. I'll come right back. We'll be ready for your questions after.
Earlier, you shared with my dad this quote from Satyanarayan's translation and commentary. Krishna may restrict supplying XYZ if he sees that providing XYZ may increase material desire instead of increasing pure attachment to him. Could you expand a bit? Could you expand a bit on that?
You want to know what the XYZ means? You want to know what's Krishna's position?
Yeah.
Some persons see God as an order supplier. I want this, I want that, I want the other thing. That's the XYZ, material. And Krishna evaluates, and he wants to see if I give XYZ, is that going to enhance or cover over their devotion? And he may decide to not give XYZ if it's going to cover over devotion. It's going to cause pride and further difficulties in proceeding with bhakti. Or he may give. He may give like a parent may give to a small child that wants something, and they start to have a little tantrum if they don't get that something. So the parent may just put a pacifier in the child's mouth. Here, take this. I don't advise it, but you want it so badly. Okay, at your own risk. So that's a third position besides the two that are mentioned. So Krishna's considering, is this going to help or hinder? And that's when it's a meaningful relationship, and it's like a parent to a child, or anyone, a teacher and a student, or someone and a someone, a friend and a friend. Someone in a friendly way, a friendship way, one may not yield to the request of their friend because it's detrimental. So there's some discrimination in a positive sense of discerning of what's beneficial, not beneficial. So a living entity is enjoined accept things favorable, reject things unfavorable. Krishna also same. Okay?
Yeah, thank you much.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I'm wondering to what extent should I support a dependent's desires, ambitions, dreams? Because there is endeavor needed to be able to do that, and it could be a lot of things that one has to do to get to a certain position in life. Or so as a parent, should I support that, knowing that there may be Krishna's plan behind those desires, ambitions, or do I steer it in a different direction, or do I discourage? I don't think I want to do that, but I'm trying to understand what principles should I be considering.
Well, it's a little bit like your son's question. Is it going to be favorable? And if there is a way to make it that it can become favorable, then fan that favorable spark. And if it's not something that's going to be favorable, or rather it's a diversion, distraction, it's falling into the pool of Maya, then you don't as a parent or as a well-wisher of another, you don't want to rain on the parade. You don't want to just like squish them and flatten them and discourage them. But if there's some way to redirect the enthusiasm to that which is favorable to bhakti. And then that's a big question. What's favorable to bhakti? is advancement of XYZ, unnamed, advancement or acceleration of something. Is it propelling the individual and those and the rest of the individual, those who are going to get benefit from what that individual does, further and further and further and further into darkness? They and others into further darkness. And if that potential is there, then there are ways to indicate, have you considered this potential, and the ways to minimize that or diminish that or eliminate that. Ambition and goals and those kinds of things can be helpful or can be detrimental. So try to see what's the specifically in relation to bhakti or attaining the stage of love for Krishna, is it beneficial or detrimental? In ways to in ways that good well-wishers will do by asking a lot of questions to help the person reach their own conclusions, the right kind of own conclusions, instead of the blind pursuit of something without considering the consequences. No. Being a teacher or being a parent or being a well-wisher of others and who are in a quasi, at least, dependent position, that's a big responsibility. And that's life. Responsibility. You have something? You have the microphone. Go ahead.
So Guru Maharaj, my question is on this particular verse today. The Sanskrit verse here, Sad Vargai, and then you did mention it's not just the 6 symptoms of senses, it's just a subset that Prabhupada is mentioning here in the translation, and
Yes.
there's much more to it. So recently in my Sunday school, I was expanding on chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita,
Chapter which?
Chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
2.62 and 63, where it begins from contemplating on the objects of senses, and then the whole domino,
Yeah.
fall down. So my understanding is that when Prabhupada talks about the 6 symptoms of senses, connecting it to the Bhagavad Gita set of verses, it begins with contemplating on the objects of senses. So the question is, if that understanding is right,
Yeah.
like
It's the mood of contemplation. The mood of contemplation is essential. I am going to enjoy the anticipation of samsparsha ja bhoga. Go ahead.
So my question is specifically, when I try to explain this to children, they get it. Like, for example, when I say these are like, especially the domino fall down, like this happens. So let's say you want a cupcake, you first look at it, and then you want to, go grab it. And then if you don't, mom says you cannot eat it now, eat after dinner, but you want it really, so they kind of understand that, right? But here, Prabhupada also talks about jealousy, which doesn't come over there when Krishna talks about the domino fall down. So my question is, are there any other specific references on jealousy? Because
Yes.
From scriptures, if so, please.
Yes.
And how I was also specifically wondering, like, as a child, it's easy for them to explain that if I don't get it and somebody else have it, that's jealousy. But as we grow up, we kind of hide it, and it becomes very nasty. When you see somebody else ahead of us, and I feel like I'm paying attention to this particular symptom of senses, jealousy. Like I never saw it in connection to other things that Prabhupada often mentions. I was wondering if you have more insight into
Yes.
the jealousy part.
I got the question. A major scriptural reference is from this respect seminar, 429, the whole chapter. Jealousy or envy. And it comes in stages. It comes in stages is commentary. And it's consistent commentary. It's not only in relation to Kapila Dev's teachings to Devahuti on pure bhakti. It's found elsewhere and elsewhere. It's found in chapter 6. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes an almost identical 7.6, chapter 6, explanation as he does in Canto 3. And the envy principle, their jealousy principle, is the same. And it's discussed. You'll find it in referenced Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It's the same Acharya that speaks from Canto 3. And it's elaborately discussed. And in stages. And the first stage is condescension. An unarticulated condescension. I'm worshipping Bhagavan, the deity, and I'm looking at others. They're less than me. But I don't say it. I just. But the root of envy is that one. And then it escalates. And then it becomes, to vilification. And, harsh, murderous types of harsh dealings. Unlawful. So, it has a seed. Condescension, thinking, and haughtiness. It's all in Sanskrit, so it's English translations, but, looking down upon others, thinking highly of oneself. That's envy. And then what others, then it goes in sequence. So you want to learn about it, that's a good place to learn about it from the commentaries. Jiva Goswami comments identically in Bhakti Sandarbha, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments identically in his own commentaries on 429. I think it starts with 12. 3:29:12. What?
When can I read about the Jiva Goswami's commentary more?
You want to know more about it?
Yeah.
Well, I'll send you my notes. How's that?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Save you the trouble. Go look it up. It's already looked up in the notes and then in the presentations. But then it's the presentations are from the notes, and the notes are from Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, explaining what Kapila is teaching. And the same, he's teaching pure devotional service. That's not mixed. Then there's a mix, and the pride and jealousy are foundation. They're right on top of false ego. So the bound foundation is false ego, and right above that, layered on, is the most subtle of them, pride and jealousy or envy. And then the others. They're derived from those two. resting on false ego. It's Sankhya. That's Kapila's teachings to Devahuti, Sankhya. And the gross is resting upon the subtle. Gross evolves from subtle. And then what's the subtle? It's false ego. This, etc. So I'll send you the notes. How many persons online? Any? How many? I'm just curious.
And
10 YouTube and how many temple?
18.
18 plus 10. Okay. I'm just curious. It's not like keeping score. I'm just curious. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki